are easily excitable and very entertaining. So that's the first reason for you to be excited about what I'm going to share with you this morning as we're talking about kind of a heavy topic. The second reason comes from one of my former students. I was a classroom teacher for 14 years, English, history, and remedial reading. And one morning, it was the morning after back to school night several years ago. And one of my precious little students, he came to me, he was a freshman. He said, "Hey, Mrs. Adams, what did you share last night? What was your little spiel at back to school night?" And I said, "Well, why do you ask?" And he said, "Well, my parents came to your little shtick, and when they came home, they were talking about you." And I thought, oh gosh, what did they say? And he said, "Well, they said a lot of things, but they ultimately agreed on this. They are so thankful that you are smarter and funnier than you look." So there you go. That is the second reason for you to be excited about what I'm going to share with you today. Now, it is a myth that we have unlimited critical thinking capacity throughout the day. In other words, every morning we wake up with a rechargeable battery, our brain. Based on our recent choices and environment, that will determine how charged up our battery is. Some of us wake up fully charged, partially charged. Some of us are waking up drained. So it's important for us to practice self-care, because in order for us to charge up others, we cannot sacrifice ourselves. We're in a profession that it glorifies martyrdom. The mind controls the brain does not control the mind. Our mind are our thoughts and our feelings, and that triggers our brain to start a chemical reaction. That chemical reaction will be either positive or negative, and it is communicated to all of our body systems. The chemical reaction is largely based on about 5 chemicals and hormones: oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins, specifically an endorphin called norepinephrine. It's important that we have elevated and appropriate levels of those chemicals in order to trigger a positive chemical reaction that helps all of our body systems to function effectively. And then there's one chemical, it's called cortisol. It is a stress-released chemical. Too much of it in our body wreaks havoc because cortisol causes inflammation. Inflammation decreases oxygen-rich blood flow throughout our body and hampers our brain and all of our body systems function. But if I get up in the morning and I say, "This is going to be a horrible day, stressful, look at me, I'm getting old, I'm tired, I'm stressed, I do not have the patience for this, I have 53 meetings today, 53 problems. I shouldn't even get out of bed. It's going to be horrible. Should I even put makeup on for this? I don't even know if it's worth it. I should just stay in bed." So I will have a 5-chemical shift in the negative. My oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins will plummet, and my cortisol will skyrocket. I've just set myself up for failure. So our thoughts and feelings, if we wake up in the morning and say, "This is going to be a great day, I have 53 meetings, which are 53 opportunities for me to be a blessing. I cannot wait for this day to happen. I am a fat-burning machine. Fat is literally flowing off my body right now." That type of thought process triggers a very powerful chemical reaction. Everything that I just said, I have prophesied. My critical thinking, my creativity will skyrocket simply because I have triggered appropriate chemicals. There are 10 overall adverse childhood experiences that trigger such a negative chemical reaction, it's very difficult to overcome. The brain image on the left side is a healthy 3-year-old brain. Lots of red, yellow, orange in there, lots of synaptic connections and oxygen-rich blood flow. That brain image on the right is of a neglected 3-year-old orphan. Notice the gaps. If those gaps are not identified and cared for by providing a safe and secure environment and meeting basic needs, those gaps will remain. That's why we encounter 50-year-old people many times who struggle with emotional regulation, impulse control, cause and effect analysis, organizational skills, and rational decision making. Many adult dysfunction is rooted in childhood. Let me ask you, what chemical reaction are you triggering in yourself based on your thoughts and feelings, and what chemical reaction are you triggering in others? Because it makes a difference. Laughter increases the positive critical thinking chemicals in the brain. As we wrap up here, I'm going to show you some of the darn funniest jokes you've ever seen. So are you ready to get a good laugh on? Are you ready? Okay, here we go.